Some of history's greatest secrets survived for thousands of years, until this year. In just a few months, archaeologists have uncovered discoveries so extraordinary that they're forcing historians to rewrite parts of human history. A lost city built by Alexander the Great. A mysterious chamber hidden beneath the sands of Egypt. An entire prehistoric world lying beneath the North Sea. And evidence that humans may have mastered the oceans thousands of years earlier than anyone ever imagined. But that's only the beginning. Because among this year's discoveries are a giant stone guardian protecting an ancient tomb, wooden tools nearly 500,000 years old, the oldest evidence of one of humanity's deadliest diseases, and forgotten civilizations revealing secrets that remained buried for centuries. And just when archaeologists thought they'd seen it all, the next discovery changed everything. So join us as we uncover the 12 biggest archaeological discoveries of 2026 so far. Some will amaze you. Some will challenge everything you thought you knew about the ancient world. And one discovery may completely rewrite a chapter of human history. Let's begin. For more than 2,000 years, historians believed it was gone forever. A city personally founded by Alexander the Great, mentioned by ancient writers, but lost somewhere beneath the deserts of southern Iraq. Many believed it would never be found. Then, in early 2026, archaeologists announced a discovery that stunned the historical world. Using high-resolution drone mapping, magnetic surveys, and years of careful research, they confirmed the location of a forgotten city hidden just beneath the desert's surface. Its name was Alexandria on the Tigris. Founded by Alexander the Great in 324 BC, the city wasn't built simply to expand his empire. It was designed to control one of the most important trade routes in the ancient world. Located where major rivers connected Mesopotamia to the Persian Gulf, it became a gateway between East and West. Merchants carrying spices, silk, precious metals, and exotic goods from India and Persia would have passed through its streets before continuing toward the Mediterranean. At its height, Alexandria on the Tigris was far more than a military outpost. Researchers have identified the remains of massive defensive walls, wide planned streets, residential districts, workshops, temples, canals, and what appears to have been an enormous harbor complex. The city was carefully designed, revealing the advanced urban planning that followed Alexander wherever his armies conquered new lands. But no city remains untouched forever. Over the centuries, rivers slowly changed course. Trade routes shifted. The harbor that once made the city wealthy gradually became useless. Without access to the water that had sustained it, commerce declined, its population shrank, and the city slowly disappeared beneath layers of sand and forgotten history. For nearly 20 centuries, only ancient texts hinted that this remarkable place had ever existed. Now, thanks to modern archaeological technology, its streets are visible once again. And researchers believe they've only explored a small fraction of what still lies beneath the ground. The rediscovery of Alexandria on the Tigris isn't just the discovery of another ancient city. It's the recovery of a missing chapter from the story of Alexander the Great, and a reminder that some of history's greatest civilizations may still be waiting beneath our feet. But Iraq wasn't the only place where history revealed one of its greatest secrets. Thousands of kilometers away, deep beneath the sands of Egypt, archaeologists opened a hidden chamber that had remained sealed for nearly 3,000 years. And what they found inside was even more extraordinary. While archaeologists were making headlines in Iraq, another remarkable discovery was unfolding nearly 1,500 kilometers away along the west bank of the Nile. Near the ancient city of Luxor, a team of Egyptian archaeologists uncovered the entrance to a hidden rock-cut chamber buried beneath centuries of sand and rubble. When they finally entered the chamber, they found something almost unimaginable. Inside were 22 beautifully painted wooden coffins, carefully stacked in multiple rows, exactly as they had been placed thousands of years ago. Many of the coffins still contained their original mummified remains. For archaeologists, discoveries like this are exceptionally rare. Over thousands of years, countless Egyptian tombs were looted by grave robbers searching for gold and precious treasures. Many burial chambers were emptied long before modern archaeology even existed. But this chamber had escaped almost untouched. Its vibrant colors, detailed artwork, and carefully arranged burials offered an extraordinary glimpse into one of Egypt's most mysterious periods. Yet the coffins weren't the only surprise waiting inside. Hidden beside them stood a large ceramic vessel containing sealed papyrus scrolls that had remained unopened for nearly 3,000 years. No one yet knows exactly what these ancient documents contain. They could preserve forgotten religious ceremonies, temple records, funeral rituals, or perhaps knowledge that has remained unread since the time of the ancient pharaohs. Researchers are now using advanced conservation techniques to safely restore the fragile papyrus before attempting to unfold and translate its faded writing. Every damaged fiber must be stabilized first. One careless movement could destroy words that have survived for millennia. The discovery also revealed something fascinating about the people buried inside. Many of the coffins belonged to women known as the Singers of Amun. These women were not ordinary musicians. They played an important role inside Egypt's great temples, performing sacred music and rituals believed to maintain harmony between the gods and the living world. Their position carried enormous religious prestige, making them among the most respected women in ancient Thebes. Now, thousands of years after they were laid to rest, their voices may finally be heard again. Not through music, but through the incredible discoveries left behind in their tomb. Every painted coffin, every sealed scroll, and every artifact inside this hidden chamber brings historians one step closer to understanding a civilization that still refuses to give up all of its secrets. But while Egypt was revealing treasures beneath its desert sands, another discovery was being made beneath the waters of the North Sea. Not a tomb, not a temple, but an entire lost landscape that vanished beneath the ocean thousands of years before the first pyramids were ever built. Today, the North Sea separates Britain from mainland Europe. Millions of people cross it every year by ship or plane, rarely imagining that beneath those cold waters lies an entire forgotten world. But thousands of years ago, there was no sea here at all. Instead, this region was a vast landscape of forests, rivers, lakes, and open grasslands stretching for hundreds of kilometers. Archaeologists call this lost land Doggerland. For decades, scientists believed it was little more than a narrow land bridge that allowed early humans to walk between Britain and Europe after the last ice age. But recent research has completely changed that picture. By extracting ancient DNA preserved inside sediments from the seabed, researchers reconstructed a landscape unlike anything they expected. Instead of an empty, frozen plain, they discovered evidence of dense forests filled with oak, elm, hazel, and other trees that were growing here nearly 16,000 years ago. That makes these forests thousands of years older than scientists once believed possible. The discovery also suggests that Doggerland wasn't simply a route people crossed. It was a place where they lived. Its rivers would have provided fresh water and fish. Its forests were home to deer, wild boar, and countless other animals. For thousands of years, hunter-gatherers likely built camps, hunted, raised families, and explored a landscape that has now completely disappeared beneath the sea. But nature had other plans. As the Ice Age ended, enormous glaciers began melting across the northern hemisphere. Sea levels slowly rose year after year, century after century. The rivers overflowed, the valleys disappeared, forests became wetlands, and eventually, the entire landscape was swallowed by the expanding North Sea. Communities that had lived there for generations were forced to move inland, leaving behind a world that would remain hidden beneath the waves for thousands of years. Today, archaeologists believe countless prehistoric campsites, tools, and even human settlements are still buried beneath the seabed. Modern technology is only beginning to reveal what survived. Every new scan, every sediment sample, and every underwater survey brings scientists one step closer to reconstructing one of Europe's greatest lost landscapes. Doggerland wasn't simply a bridge between continents. It was a forgotten world, and humanity is only now beginning to rediscover it. Chapter 4. But while scientists were uncovering a lost world beneath the sea, another team was trying to solve one of history's oldest mysteries. Not where an ancient civilization disappeared, but why an entire human species vanished forever. For nearly 300,000 years, Neanderthals dominated Europe. They survived brutal ice ages, hunted massive animals, built sophisticated stone tools, and cared for their injured and elderly. They weren't the primitive creatures people once imagined. They were intelligent, adaptable, and remarkably resilient. So why did they disappear while our own species survived? For decades, scientists debated countless theories. Some believed modern humans wiped them out through war. Others blamed deadly diseases. Many argued that dramatic climate change pushed them toward extinction. But none of these explanations completely matched the evidence. Now, a new scientific study may have brought researchers closer than ever to the answer. Instead of focusing on weapons or fossils, scientists analyzed something different: the ancient landscapes where Neanderthals once lived. Using advanced computer models, they reconstructed Europe as it existed more than 40,000 years ago. The results revealed a surprising pattern. The best habitats for early modern humans formed a vast, connected network stretching across the continent. Communities could travel, trade, share knowledge, and recover after difficult seasons. Neanderthal populations faced a very different reality. Their territories were scattered into isolated pockets separated by mountains, changing climates, and shrinking resources. Small groups became trapped. With fewer neighboring communities to interact with, their populations slowly declined. Genetic diversity decreased. Recovering from disease, harsh winters, or food shortages became increasingly difficult. At the same time, modern humans continued expanding across Europe. In some regions, the two species competed for the same hunting grounds. In others, they lived alongside one another and even had children together. In fact, most people living outside Africa today still carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA. Rather than disappearing overnight, Neanderthals may have slowly merged into growing human populations, while isolated groups gradually died out. It wasn't one catastrophic event. It was thousands of years of environmental pressure, shrinking populations, and changing landscapes. One challenge alone might not have destroyed them, but together they became impossible to overcome. The mystery of the Neanderthals may never be solved completely. Yet every new discovery reminds us that human history was never a simple story of survival. It was shaped by adaptation, connection, and sometimes by the quiet disappearance of an entire branch of our own family tree. But while scientists were uncovering the fate of one ancient human species, archaeologists in southern Mexico opened a tomb unlike any they had seen before. Waiting inside was a mysterious giant owl, guarding secrets that had remained hidden for nearly 14. While the ancient cities of Egypt and Mesopotamia continue to reveal their secrets, another remarkable discovery was made thousands of kilometers away in southern Mexico. Archaeologists excavating an ancient burial site uncovered a tomb that had remained sealed for nearly 1,400 years. But it wasn't the human remains that immediately captured their attention. Standing inside the burial chamber was a massive stone owl. Its large eyes stared directly toward the entrance, as if it had been guarding the tomb since the day it was sealed. For the excavation team, it was one of the most extraordinary discoveries of the year. The tomb belonged to the Zapotec civilization, one of the oldest and most advanced cultures in ancient Mesoamerica. Long before the rise of the Aztecs, the Zapotec people built impressive cities, developed one of the earliest writing systems in the Americas, and created sophisticated calendars that guided both religion and daily life. To them, death was not the end of existence. It marked the beginning of another journey, and within that spiritual world, the owl held incredible power. Unlike the modern symbol of wisdom, the Zapotec believed the owl was a sacred messenger between the living and the dead. It was closely connected to the underworld, a guardian that watched over souls as they crossed into the next life. This explains why archaeologists believe the enormous owl was placed deliberately at the center of the tomb. It wasn't decoration. It was a protector. Around the chamber, researchers uncovered beautifully crafted ceramics, ritual offerings, and the remains of an elite individual whose identity is still being investigated. Every object had been carefully arranged more than 13 centuries ago. Nothing appeared random. Each artifact reflected the beliefs, traditions, and spiritual world of a civilization that flourished long before European explorers ever reached the Americas. The discovery is already changing what historians know about Zapotec burial customs. Its exceptional preservation provides researchers with a rare opportunity to study elite religious practices in remarkable detail. And perhaps the greatest mystery still remains unanswered. Who was the person buried beside this giant stone guardian? A ruler? A powerful priest? Or someone whose name has been forgotten, but whose importance was great enough to deserve one of the most remarkable tombs ever discovered in ancient Mexico? As archaeologists continue their work, they hope the answers are still waiting beneath the soil. But hidden tombs weren't the only treasures waiting beneath Mexico's surface. In the heart of the ancient Aztec capital, archaeologists uncovered mysterious stone chests filled with thousands of sacred objects, an offering unlike anything they had seen before. Beneath the busy streets of modern Mexico City lies the buried heart of one of history's greatest civilizations, the ancient city of Tenochtitlan. Once home to hundreds of thousands of people, it was the capital of the mighty Aztec Empire, a city of towering temples, bustling markets, and extraordinary engineering. At its very center stood the Templo Mayor, the empire's most sacred temple. For centuries, rulers expanded this enormous pyramid, burying older layers beneath new ones. Every expansion sealed away offerings meant for the gods. And in 2026, archaeologists uncovered one of the most remarkable offerings ever found. Hidden beneath the temple were 3 ancient stone chests. When researchers carefully opened them, they discovered an astonishing collection of treasures. More than 80 finely carved greenstone figurines, alongside thousands of seashells, coral fragments, and marine artifacts, all deliberately arranged as part of a sacred ritual performed nearly 6 centuries ago. But why would an empire built high in the mountains collect objects from distant oceans? To the Aztecs, the sea represented the birthplace of creation. It symbolized life, fertility, and the powerful forces that shaped the universe. Bringing shells and coral from distant coastlines to the center of their capital was far more than an act of decoration. It was an offering to the gods, a symbolic connection between the earthly world and the divine. Even more fascinating were the greenstone figurines. Many were already ancient when the Aztecs buried them. Some had been created by civilizations that had disappeared hundreds of years before the Aztec Empire even existed. Rather than destroying these ancient artifacts, the Aztecs carefully collected them. They believed these objects carried sacred power inherited from the civilizations that came before them. By placing them beneath the Templo Mayor, they were honoring the past while claiming themselves as the rightful heirs to the ancient world of Mesoamerica. Researchers believe this extraordinary deposit was created during the reign of one of the Aztec Empire's greatest rulers, a time when Tenochtitlan stood among the largest and most powerful cities on Earth. Today, only a small portion of the ancient temple has been excavated. Much of it still lies hidden beneath the modern city. And with every new excavation, archaeologists uncover another layer of history buried beneath the streets above. If one ritual offering could remain hidden for more than 500 years, who knows what other treasures are still waiting beneath the heart of the Aztec capital? But our next discovery takes us somewhere even more mysterious. Deep beneath the jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, inside flooded caves where sunlight has not reached for thousands of years, archaeologists discovered the remains of a human being from a world that existed long before the Maya built their first cities. Hidden beneath the dense jungles of Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula lies one of the largest underwater cave systems on Earth. Today, these flooded tunnels can only be explored by highly trained cave divers, but thousands of years ago, they were completely dry. Long before the Maya built their great cities, long before pyramids rose above the jungle, people walked through these caves as part of their everyday world. And in 2026, archaeologists announced one of the most fascinating discoveries ever made inside them. Deep within the darkness, researchers uncovered the 8,000-year-old skeleton of an ancient human. The remains had been preserved for thousands of years beneath crystal-clear water, protected by the cave's unique environment. The discovery offers a rare glimpse into a time when the Yucatan looked nothing like it does today. At the end of the last ice age, global sea levels were far lower than they are now. The cave system wasn't underwater. It was a vast network of dry passages where early hunter-gatherers searched for fresh water, explored unknown territory, and sometimes buried their dead. Then, as enormous glaciers melted across the planet, sea levels slowly rose. Water flooded the caves, sealing everything inside. For thousands of years, these hidden chambers remained untouched by the outside world. The newly discovered skeleton belongs to a person who lived in an age before agriculture, before writing, and thousands of years before the first Maya civilization emerged. Researchers believe studying the bones could reveal valuable clues about the earliest people who settled the Americas. Who were they? Where did they come from? And how were they connected to later civilizations? Ancient DNA may finally help answer some of those questions. Scientists are now carefully analyzing the remains, hoping to uncover details about ancestry, health, diet, and migration. Every new genome recovered from these caves adds another missing piece to the story of humanity's earliest journey across the American continent. The Yucatan cave system has already transformed archaeology over the past 2 decades. Each new expedition uncovers more evidence that these flooded passages are among the most important prehistoric archives anywhere in the world. Countless tunnels remain unexplored, and somewhere beyond the reach of modern divers, more ancient secrets may still be waiting in complete darkness. But while divers were searching beneath flooded caves in Mexico, another team of archaeologists in Greece uncovered something even older. Simple pieces of wood that survived for nearly 430,000 years, changing what scientists believed about our ancient ancestors forever. Stone tools have shaped our understanding of early humans for generations. From hand axes to spear points, nearly everything we know about our distant ancestors comes from objects that survived the passage of time. But wood is different. It decays. It disappears. Which means some of humanity's greatest inventions may have vanished long before archaeologists ever had a chance to find them. That is why a discovery made in Greece has become one of the most important archaeological breakthroughs of the year. At an ancient site known as Marithusa I, researchers uncovered evidence of carefully crafted wooden tools dating back an astonishing 430,000 years. That makes them the oldest known handheld wooden tools ever discovered. To appreciate just how extraordinary that is, consider the timeline. These tools were created long before modern humans existed. Even the Neanderthals had not yet fully emerged. The individuals who shaped this wood belonged to an earlier human ancestor, one that scientists once believed possessed only simple survival skills. This discovery challenges that assumption completely. The wooden implements were found alongside the butchered remains of enormous, straight-tusked elephants, animals even larger than today's African elephants. Whether these early humans hunted the giants themselves or scavenged their carcasses remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: they weren't acting randomly. Creating a useful wooden tool requires planning. Someone had to choose the right branch, shape it carefully, and understand exactly how it would be used. That kind of forward thinking reveals a level of intelligence far more advanced than researchers once imagined for humans living nearly 500,000 years ago. Perhaps even more remarkable is the fact that these tools survived at all. Unlike stone, wood almost never lasts for hundreds of thousands of years. Only a unique combination of soil, water, and environmental conditions protected them from decay. Scientists believe countless other wooden tools were likely made across prehistoric Europe, but nature erased almost all traces of them. These rare survivors offer a glimpse into a forgotten chapter of human innovation. They remind us that early humans were experimenting, adapting, and solving problems far earlier than anyone expected. And if tools this sophisticated existed 430,000 years ago, it raises an exciting question. How many other remarkable achievements from our earliest ancestors have simply disappeared without leaving a trace? But while archaeologists were uncovering humanity's oldest tools, another team was studying something invisible to the naked eye. Ancient DNA that revealed a deadly disease had been haunting humanity thousands of years earlier than anyone had ever imagined. When most people hear the word plague, they think of the Black Death, a pandemic that swept across Europe in the 14th century, killing tens of millions of people and changing the course of history forever. For centuries, historians believed plague became a threat only after humans built large cities where disease could spread rapidly. But a remarkable discovery made this year has completely challenged that belief. Using advanced ancient DNA analysis, scientists examined the remains of prehistoric hunter-gatherers buried in Siberia. What they found shocked researchers. Hidden within the ancient bones was genetic evidence of Yersinia pestis, the deadly bacterium responsible for plague. The remains were approximately 5,500 years old. That means plague was infecting humans thousands of years before the first great civilizations reached their peak. Even more surprising was who these people were. They weren't crowded city dwellers. They weren't farmers living in dense settlements. They were small groups of hunter-gatherers, constantly moving across vast landscapes in search of food and shelter. Until now, scientists believed plague needed large populations, trade routes, and crowded communities to survive. This discovery suggests the disease had already found a way to infect humans long before any of those conditions existed. Exactly how it spread remains one of archaeology's biggest unanswered questions. It may have behaved very differently from the plague that devastated medieval Europe. Or perhaps the bacterium was still evolving, becoming more dangerous over thousands of years before eventually causing history's most infamous pandemics. Researchers are now searching ancient burial sites across Europe and Asia for even older traces of the disease. Every new genome helps scientists reconstruct the hidden history of humanity's battle against infectious illness. The discovery also raises another fascinating possibility. Could mysterious population declines in prehistoric communities have been caused by diseases no one knew existed? If plague was already circulating among humans more than 5,000 years ago, it may have influenced human history long before anyone ever wrote a single word about it. Sometimes the greatest archaeological discoveries aren't golden treasures or forgotten cities. Sometimes they're microscopic clues hidden inside ancient bones, waiting thousands of years for science to uncover their story. But while scientists were uncovering one of humanity's oldest diseases, another discovery in West Africa was rewriting something even more fundamental, where our earliest ancestors were actually capable of living. For decades, scientists believed early humans avoided one of Earth's most challenging environments, the dense tropical rainforests of Africa. Unlike open grasslands, rainforests are difficult to navigate. Thick vegetation blocks sunlight. Food sources can be unpredictable. Dangerous animals hide beneath the trees. For generations, researchers assumed our ancestors simply passed around these forests rather than living inside them. But this year, that belief changed forever. Archaeologists working in West Africa uncovered compelling evidence that ancient humans were living deep inside tropical rainforests tens of thousands of years earlier than previously believed. The discovery is forcing scientists to rethink one of the oldest ideas in human evolution. Instead of following only open plains and river valleys, early humans were adapting to environments once considered nearly impossible to survive. Life inside a rainforest demanded an entirely different set of skills. People needed to recognize hundreds of edible plants, track animals hidden beneath thick vegetation, find clean water, build shelters that could withstand constant humidity and heavy rainfall. This wasn't a place where anyone could simply wander and survive. It required generations of knowledge passed from one community to the next. Researchers now believe these ancient rainforest populations possessed a remarkable understanding of their environment. They knew how to thrive where others saw only obstacles. The discovery also helps explain another long-standing mystery. Modern populations in West Africa contain some of the oldest genetic lineages found anywhere on Earth. Scientists have long suspected humans had occupied this region for an incredibly long time. But archaeological evidence was surprisingly limited. Now, that gap is beginning to close. Unlike dry deserts or caves, tropical forests rarely preserve ancient artifacts. Wood decays, bones disappear. Entire campsites can vanish beneath layers of soil and vegetation within a relatively short period. In many ways, the rainforest hides its history better than almost anywhere else on the planet. That means countless ancient settlements may still be waiting beneath the forest floor. Every new excavation has the potential to transform what we know about humanity's earliest migrations. The story of human evolution is becoming far more complex than researchers once imagined. Our ancestors weren't simply survivors of open landscapes, they were explorers, innovators, and masters of environments that modern science once believed were impossible for early humans to call home. But while archaeologists were rewriting the story of humanity's earliest ancestors, another extraordinary discovery emerged from the countryside of England. A rare Iron Age artifact that hadn't been seen in nearly 2,000 years, and may have once echoed across ancient battlefields. Some archaeological discoveries are made of gold. Others are carved from stone. But every once in a while, researchers uncover something that once had a voice. In the English countryside, archaeologists unearthed the remarkably preserved remains of a rare Iron Age Carnyx, a towering bronze war horn unlike anything used in the modern world. For nearly 2,000 years, its sound had been silent. The Carnyx was no ordinary musical instrument. It stood upright, often reaching over 6 feet in height, with its bell shaped like the head of a wild animal, sometimes a boar, wolf, or dragon-like creature. When played, the performer's face remained hidden behind the instrument, while the animal's head rose high above the warriors. Imagine standing on an ancient battlefield, thick morning fog covering the ground, hundreds of warriors waiting in silence. Then suddenly, a deep metallic roar echoed across the valley. The haunting sound of the Carnyx wasn't meant to entertain. It was designed to intimidate. Ancient Roman writers described its terrifying noise as something that unsettled even experienced soldiers before a battle had begun. The horn became a symbol of power, courage, and unity among Iron Age Celtic tribes. Its voice could rally warriors, communicate across long distances, and strike fear into approaching enemies. Finding one today is incredibly rare. Bronze was an extremely valuable metal. Most ancient instruments were melted down and reused centuries ago. That is why archaeologists were astonished when pieces of this Carnyx survived long enough to be recovered. Every fragment offers valuable clues about Iron Age craftsmanship. Researchers are now using advanced scanning technology to digitally reconstruct the instrument, allowing historians and musicians to recreate how it may have looked, and more importantly, how it may have sounded. For the first time in nearly 2 millennia, scientists hope to hear the voice of an instrument that once echoed across Europe's ancient landscapes. It is a reminder that archaeology doesn't only recover buildings and artifacts. Sometimes, it brings forgotten sounds back to life. And through those sounds, we gain a deeper understanding of the people who created them, feared them, and followed them into history. Our final discovery doesn't reveal a lost city, a hidden tomb, or an ancient treasure. Instead, it uncovers something far more extraordinary, evidence that humans may have reached one of the world's most remote islands thousands of years earlier than anyone ever imagined. For centuries, the open ocean was considered one of humanity's greatest barriers. Long before compasses, long before maps, and thousands of years before powerful ships crossed the seas, researchers believed early humans rarely ventured far from the safety of the coastline. But one extraordinary archaeological discovery is changing that story forever. On a remote island in Southeast Asia, archaeologists uncovered compelling evidence that humans arrived there thousands of years earlier than anyone had previously imagined. Stone tools, animal remains, and carefully dated archaeological layers revealed that people were successfully crossing stretches of open ocean far earlier than traditional theories had suggested. This wasn't an accidental journey. Reaching these isolated islands required planning, cooperation, and remarkable courage. Even at the shortest distances, travelers would have lost sight of land. They needed floating vessels strong enough to survive the journey, knowledge of ocean currents, an understanding of changing winds, and the confidence to sail toward an unknown horizon. That level of skill transforms our understanding of ancient humans. They were not simply wandering across continents, they were becoming explorers. The discovery also explains one of archaeology's oldest mysteries. Many remote islands contain animals that could never have swum across the sea. Yet humans managed to reach them long before recorded history. These early voyages may have allowed people to spread across thousands of islands, eventually leading to the settlement of places once thought impossible to reach with prehistoric technology. Researchers now believe our ancestors possessed surprisingly sophisticated maritime knowledge. Simple wooden rafts or primitive boats may have carried families across dangerous waters, opening entirely new worlds to exploration. It's a reminder that innovation didn't begin with great civilizations. Long before kingdoms, empires, and written history, ordinary people were already solving extraordinary problems. They looked across endless water, and instead of seeing an obstacle, they saw an opportunity. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this year's archaeological discoveries is that history is never truly finished. Every excavation, every ancient skeleton, every forgotten city, and every hidden artifact adds another piece to the story of humanity. The past isn't buried forever. It's simply waiting for someone to uncover it. From Alexander the Great's lost city to Egypt's hidden tombs, the sunken world of Doggerland, ancient diseases, gigantic stone guardians, forgotten civilizations, and evidence that humans explored the oceans thousands of years earlier than we once believed. These discoveries remind us that history is constantly evolving. Every year, archaeologists uncover new evidence that challenges old ideas and reveals chapters of the human story we never knew existed. And somewhere beneath deserts, jungles, oceans, and modern cities, countless secrets are still waiting to be found. Which discovery amazed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey into the mysteries of the ancient world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.